and welcome to another edition of In Focus. I'm your host, Alyssa Freider. With me today is Dr. Waleed Rashidi, a professor in the Communications Department at California State University Fullerton, and one of his students, Madison Foster. Today we sit down with them to talk about Comm Week, an annual event happening on campus. Thank you both so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so first let's start off. Tell me a little bit about yourselves.
I've been teaching now for about 13 years. I started at a community college initially, and I've been teaching here at Cal State Fullerton for, this is going to be my 11th year going into that. And I've been here full time since 2011, and I've been teaching the Comm Week class since 2013.
I'm a fourth year Communications Public Relations major with a minor in American Studies. I plan on graduating this semester, and hopefully there's something out there in the world that's ready for me.
So Dr. Rashidi, tell me about your event planning and management course that you teach and what event your students plan in that class.
Yeah, the event that my students plan is called Comm Week, and Comm Week has actually been a tradition here at Cal State Fullerton for 41 years. We celebrated our 40th anniversary last year. We had a really great celebration. And this class is an event planning class, and what my students do is they put this conference on for the entire university. It's a week-long conference, 4 days, Monday through Thursday, and every day they have anywhere from 10 to 15, sometimes even 20 speakers that come to campus. So my students are in charge of the planning and the execution of this particular event. It takes them a long time to plan, of course, and there are many different steps involved in the process. But for them, they find it to be very beneficial, very useful. They learn a lot of really great skills. They learn how to work with professionals. They learn a lot of interpersonal skills. And on top of that, of course, it's good practice for them when they want to get out into the professional world and, of course, do more events like this or events that are at least similar in nature.
So Maddie, what does a typical course or class day look like for you, and what is your specific responsibility for Comm Week?
Yes, so right now we're more in the planning aspect of everything, so it's a lot of, planning for promotional items, for tabling, securing our speakers. Specifically, my task as Chief Executive Officer is I'm looking over, all the committees and all the other students. So we have 3 committees. We have logistics, scheduling, and communications. So they all kind of handle different things. So yeah, as of right now, we're mostly focusing on getting ready and planning and everything.
Okay, Dr. Rashidi, how is this course environment different than usual courses, and how does your role as a professor change?
Yeah, it's quite a different class than what I normally teach. Most of the classes I teach are lecture classes. There may be 30, 40, 50 students, sometimes 100 students in the room. This class does not have that same kind of structure. Although there are lecture components to the class, every day is a different day in the class. There's only so much I can really prepare for because every year is a different Comm Week, and there are new challenges. There are new challenges not just for my students, but for myself as well as an instructor. I have to sometimes come up with on-the-fly solutions and basically figure out answers to problems that come up. And that is a challenge that I typically face with this class, is dealing with some of the things that you can't really plan for. For instance, speakers may drop out last minute. What do we do at that point in time? Coming up with contingency plans, helping my students draft up these plans as well sometimes can be difficult because I might not exactly have the answer. So sometimes I have to go to other people to really get that answer. And the class itself, I do empower the students quite a bit. So Madison, for instance, there are periods of time in the class where I'll say, hey, Madison, go ahead and lead the class. And so she'll have an agenda as well, in which she and the other executives will lead the class. So there are times where I just sit in the back and I watch them lead the class. So I will empower the students and shift power over to them when it comes to some of the elements that we have as far as the planning of the class is concerned. I handle a lot of the they do have readings and things of that nature, so I handle a lot of those lectures, and of course I try to deal with as much of the class detail as I can. But there are also elements that I think that they really should be handling, and so that's when I pass it over to them.
So Maddie, how has this course been different for you than your usual Cal State Fullerton classes?
It's very hands-on and it's a lot of teamwork. It's kind of like an open forum. I feel like sometimes in classes it's not so much like a lecture. So it's really great because we get to work together and it's hands-on and you see your product come to life. With other classes, I think the most similar class would be like my PR management class, but with this, it's a full-on conference. So it's very much at a larger scale and very much real.
So what are the overall goals of this class for your students, and what do you hope they get out of it?
I hope they get a lot of lifelong lessons. I hope that they have the opportunity to realize that they are putting something together that is a great portfolio piece. It is something that they can use in their daily job, whatever it may be, in the profession that they go into. That they get skills, like I said, interpersonal skills, public relations skills. They are able to really help better define themselves when it comes to working with professionals. Again, this class is also, I try to instill this idea that it's a multi-tiered operation, in that they are not only bringing speakers to campus, but they each have their own individual positions. So one person's in charge of catering, one person's in charge of parking, one person's in charge of the scheduling. So we have people who all have very defined roles. And those will be roles that they may have professionally as well, that will also be very defined, so that it's good for them to kind of get that practice initially in this class. On top of all that, it's just, to me, it's learning how to work with other students too. They have to work in teams, they have to work in groups. There are also a lot of individual responsibilities. So being able to balance the group responsibilities with the individual responsibilities, I think, is quite important. Time management, for instance. This class takes a lot of additional time. It's not just one of the classes that you walk in, learn from, and leave. There's a lot of learning that happens outside the classroom. They're interfacing with the campus, they're interfacing with the parking professionals, or they're interfacing with ASI, or they're interfacing with student life and leadership. So there are a number of different organizations on campus with which they have to also interface with. So again, all these skills are quite transferable into the professional world, and to me that's really important. On top of that, it's learning to throw an event that's not just for this campus, but really for the community overall. Com Week is a free and open to the public event. Most events, I should say, are free. There are some that are ticketed, or you must be a member of a particular club or organization to enter, but most of them are free and open to the public. So it's an opportunity for them to learn how to publicize an event to the greater community, and again, not just doing things specifically for themselves, but also doing things for a much wider reach.
So how do you feel that this class is preparing you for the workplace and your future career?
It's preparing me really well, I think, because we're working with people in the professional fields that we are trying to get into. So that way we have a huge networking opportunity to meet with our speakers and see what they do and how their life is different from us, or how similar it is to ours, since a lot of the speakers that we have are alumni. So that's great that we can have the opportunity to network with them and really build that relationship. I think it's definitely going to teach us lifelong skills that we can use in any aspect of our life. Being deadlines, communicating with others, working as a group, all things that are very beneficial for any job.
So when you look back at the past Com Weeks, do you have any regrets or things that you would have done differently? And how does this year's look different?
Regrets? No, I wouldn't say I have any particular regrets, but there are always ways that we can improve, and we are always thinking of ways in which we can improve. In fact, after every single Com Week night, when we're all done on Monday night or Tuesday night or Wednesday night, we make a list of all the things that we could improve for the next day. So it's a continual improvement process. There are things I would like to implement. I'd like to implement more technology in a Com Week, and we are slowly working in that realm. We are trying to enhance our web presence, for instance. We're also trying to make Com Week mobile friendly, so we want to have a schedule that is going to be mobile friendly, and we can just go on your phone, obviously, and be able to find that information. So we're trying to transfer into that particular realm. We think more information for our guests and our presenters as well would be better, so they can find out what else is available and the other options that they have for the week. But it's just always continually improving, and myself included. I think that I have learned a lot by teaching Com Week. This is a unique class. There's only one section of this class, and it's only one semester from January to May, and that's it. And of course, and they only get to plan really from the end of January to the end of April, so they really have 3 months to put this together. So I'm learning every single year, and although I've been doing this for several years, I always take the notes that I learned from last year and try to apply that to the following year.
Now for you, what would you say the hardest part of this whole course and the planning is?
I think right now it's like a little bit of the unknown. We're still in the planning process, so we're working really hard to secure like great speakers that are going to be beneficial to all the students here and all the people that come to see Comm Week. So far right now, I would say that's the hardest part, is just securing the speakers. But I think it'll be very great once we have those and once we move forward with it.
Okay, now that we kind of know what Comm Week is, can you give me what a typical Comm Week looks like?
A typical Comm Week looks like, we start off early in the morning. We as a team, as a Comm Week team, my students and I, will get there very early in the morning, typically around 6 o'clock in the morning, and they will set up all the signage. They will set up the flowers and the balloons and all the decorations and accoutrements that come with Comm Week. And then usually our first speakers start arriving about 8 or 9 in the morning. And we'll have our first presentations usually around that point in time. My students are professionally dressed and ready to go, and they are out there on the front lines getting things going. And throughout the entire day, we will have event after event after event. Oftentimes, quite a few of them are professionals and presenters. They're speaking to classes, they're speaking to groups of students, and that will happen throughout the day, all the way till sometimes 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. Then we also, usually in the evenings or even throughout the day, we'll have club events and student organization events. So, for example, the Ad Club will do a whole day called AdCon Day. PRSSA, Public Relations Student Society of America, they do an event as well, and ETC does an event. Of course, NISLA, which is the Speech Language Hearing students, they have a full day of events as well. So each day may have different organizations on top of all the presenters that we're doing. And so the presenters usually will present, like I said, sometimes till 7, 8, or 9 o'clock at night. And my students will be working on these events simultaneously. So we'll have sometimes 6, 8 events happening simultaneously, all within the TSU. So my students are kind of running around from place to place. It's a pretty hectic operation, but in the end, it all works out, and they plan it meticulously, so they know that they always have people in place at all the positions, and that's what's really important. And at the end of the day, like I said, we have a wrap-up meeting, usually around 9, 10 p.m. or so, and that's when we go through what went well and what can we change for next time. And we do it all over again the next day. So it's a pretty busy day usually. And again, we repeat that for 4 days.
So I know you said you don't have as much planned for this year yet, but what can we expect for this year's Comm Week?
So it's going to be the last week in April from Monday through Thursday. Right now we can say that we have some kickoff events. Hopefully that'll be like tabling and informational, and you can get everything you need to know there. And that's going to be the week prior, so like mid-April. So kind of just looking out for us students. We'll be walking around, tabling, giving out information then.
And then one more question for you. I know that you said that it's January through April, so what do the students do after Comm Week is over?
After Comm Week is over, they are busy doing a lot of the wrap-up, and that wrap-up includes reflections. So we do an entire day of what went well, what can we change for next year, that is. So now looking at this Comm Week when we're all done, they actually create a manual for next year. And so every student will create several pages of a manual of their position and provide all of the hits and misses of things that went well and didn't go so well, and provide advice as well. So they're busy really taking care of all that. There's a lot of last minute paperwork we have to do. We have to shore up a lot of our finances too. We buy a lot of things for Comm Week, so there are invoices we have to close out and things of that nature. So the students are working on this manual, and this manual is not small. I mean, we have 4 different committees on Comm Week, and every committee will probably produce about 100-page manual. So amongst the 6 or 7 students in that particular group. So it's a pretty hefty manual that they create. And again, this is a manual of reflections. It's a manual of speaking about what the duties and details are of every position. And they also, again, give advice to next year's group as to what could be improved for next year.
So for you, it's only a couple months in, but do you have any advice or tips that you'd give to the Comm Week students for next year?
I'd say definitely stay on top of your deadlines and know what you have each week. I know we're students, so we're super busy with our other curriculars and other classes, but I think mostly stay on top of your tasks that are due, and also have fun. I think it's a really great opportunity to meet other students in the same fields that you want to reach out to. So it's really great to have those friends that are like willing to do all the extra work with you. And yeah, I think just how the networking opportunities as well. The networking with the speakers I think is going to be great too. So make sure you're professional and you're ready to meet everyone. That is very important in the field.
Okay, well, thank you both so much for coming out
Thank
today.
you.
Everyone be sure to look out for all the Comm Week events coming up April 22nd through the 25th. That is all the time we have today. Once again, I would like to thank our guests, Dr. Waleed Rashidi and Madison Foster. I've been your host, Alyssa Freider. Thank you so much for watching In Focus, and we will see you next time.